How come Alabama is not sweet home anymore for you?
For me, I think things have changed over time. Somewhere along the line, they lost part of their culture, the hospitality. I don't know where exactly it began, but it's not the same as it used to be. Not for me.
In a way of everyday's life, in a way of living, in the way of high cost for living?
Well, not only
politics?
Probably a combination of all of them. Mm-hmm. Politics, rising costs. People moved out of Alabama to find a better way of life, but it was an illusion. They had a good way of life, but there was a drive to go out of the state, maybe make more money, but somewhere along the line, the culture was lost, the sense of community, togetherness. It's sort of hard to explain, but it was a gradual progression of something beautiful, and yet it's not there anymore.
Maybe they have lost all of those things, but at least one thing we can agree: they didn't lose the care for the sense for caring of the environment. As you can see, that we definitely lost it. You do care still about,
of course,
your environment.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. I've been back to Alabama recently in the last couple of years, but I never saw any issue like this. They do still take care of the environment and the land. So, sort of shocking, for a place like this. It's different.
Yeah, but you don't talk about that a lot in your videos that you've been making recently from Skopje. This is how you became very popular. You're more popular than me, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Within Skopje itself, I found it to be very clean from city center, and even within some of the blocks, with the apartment buildings and such. Yes, there are some areas that may not be that clean, but it doesn't. I could walk by it one day and it sort of be a mess around trash bins. However, the next day, it's all clean. I found Skopje to be a very clean city for a capital city. I have been in other capital cities that, just didn't seem as clean. I have seen the cleaning crews in the city, sweeping the sidewalks, etc. at, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I would look out my window and there they are doing this and cleaning the city. For here, it's kind of a culture shock, I guess, from what I was accustomed to seeing in Skopje. Yeah.
I apologize in the name of the city. I'm trying always to be a good host, and when after the decision to come and do the shooting and this podcast over here, I kind of have regrets. We should have stayed in the nice area of Aura restaurant. At least we were gonna not be surrounded with these stray dogs that might attack us, or to breed this mixed air of nice minerals and the garbage. But you're saying, I don't understand you, Brett, at all. You're saying there's so many beauties in mystical Macedonia, and why Macedonia is mystical for you?
I have been to various destinations, monasteries. It just feels like something different here. When you enter a monastery or a church that's been around for 1,000 years, you can feel the power. I experienced it in Oak Ridge specifically. I have talked to people that have visited Oak Ridge, and they leave the town, and they have stated to me it's almost like their mind is more clear, more focused. I had a conversation 30 minutes with somebody that was describing their experience there, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's really a magical place, and it's very clean too. Although, yeah.
Although this is Kumanovo spa, and this is mystical too. You know? As a one of the not world wonders, but Macedonian wonders, how we don't have any respect of the national treasure. So I guess it can be in maybe in the book Mystical Macedonia.
It could. I read before I came here. I guess Wikipedia, they mention the spa here, the warm waters that flow from underneath the earth, and I thought that'd be nice to see, to experience. I have been like in Bucharest and Sofia city center, outside various areas in Bulgaria, Serbia. They do have hot spas. They have the thermal waters that are known for healing, rejuvenation. But it seems like they're a little bit more prideful of those. It's like a retreat. It's like, even if it's a small spa, it's a getaway where the locals fill up their water or bathe in it in some cases. But the environment surrounding it, the nature surrounding it, it's connected to, the sound of the water. I could close my eyes and hear the sounds of the water and envision what the surroundings are. But, okay, well, this is not it. I can close my eyes and envision it, but when I open my eyes, it's not what I would expect.
What can you tell us about the website risingbalkans.com? You became you are actually becoming very popular as a kind of a touristic guide, if I can say so.
Well,
in Skopje, you've been in Sveti Nikola also.
That's right.
Can you tell us more about that?
As far as Rising Balkans, they specialize in places that are off the typical tourist path, and like the book Mystical Macedonia, maybe places that are spiritual, culturally unique to Macedonia, or to the rest of the world. And they curate these tours along the same lines as I've done my travels. I will discover a place, and then I'll do a video on it, and I'm like, this is really nice, and here is why, and here's what you can gain from it.
Attracting tourists to come and see.
That's
lovely. Very nice of you.
But not a typical tour where, like a typical tour to Skopje. Oh, here's Stone Bridge. Here's what it is. Here's this beautiful statue in the center. Here's the museum. Let's go through the museum. But I like to discover things such as this spa. Mystical. What makes Oak Ridge, as the book said, the spiritual capital of not only Macedonia, but the Balkans. It is world famous. It's like the deepest lake in Europe. It's the oldest. And
Your voice is suited just perfectly for it to be a touristic guide. You actually sound like you've been in some radio program or doing commercials.
No, I'm no professional. But and even speaking about Ohrid, for the spirituality, there were 365 churches there.
One for each day.
Don't you call it Orthodox chapel?
Yes.
You know, a spiritual place where people gather. There were 365 of them, one for each day of the week. Now, if you go there and visit, it's not, you won't find them all. However, even when I was walking along certain pathways through the city, I would see them. And it's off of the typical tourist path where people, yes, they go see the monastery. They go across the lake, let's say on a boat tour to St. Nam. However, within the city itself, you can find tiny little churches where it looked like maybe only 6 or 7 people would gather. And yet at some point throughout time, it had to just be phenomenal. I could only imagine.
What was your first? What was your connection, or what was? How did you get an idea at all to come and explore the Balkan area?
Well, the first time I came over here, it was after a breakdown in a relationship. I will call it that. I found myself alone, and the children had grown up, and they were on their way to making their own path through life. And I came up with the idea to come to Europe. And I started as any tourist does, you know, fly into Switzerland, go through Austria, Hungary. However, when I came down into the typical Balkan areas, something felt different. It was, I felt more of it as a place that I belonged. Within the people that lived there, I felt more welcomed. The hospitality was unmatched, in my opinion. And I have no words for it. The people I have met here over the months, so many have contacted me pretty regularly to, you know, hey, Brett, what are you doing? Are you doing okay?
Don't you think that if I was like you in going in exploring Alabama, that the people would not accept me the same way like here? I mean, everybody's talking about this hospitality, which is unique, and it's not mystical at all.
Maybe.
Everybody knows about it, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling that you Southerners are the same over there with hospitality.
They're very nice as far as hospitality-wise. However, I don't think I would, if I was somebody from this area going to travel in the United States, I don't think overall I would have had I don't think I would have the outpouring of certain things. If I run into a bind, there are people that are like, or even I have offers, when are you going to come back and stay with me? Or even entire village, we miss you, literally. And I feel guilty that I haven't been back to some of these areas, but there's only so many days out of the year. I've literally met so many people, and it feels like family.
Is this actually your, let's call it an idea to live under the radar? 3 months over here, 3 months over here, 3 months. You actually don't want to be part of the system unless you're some CIA agent.
I'm no CIA agent
Yeah.
or Mossad or MI6. I have been accused of it.
People
But
do
once they-
suspect
yeah, once
the
they-
reasons you're here, right?
Once they talk to me or they know personally what I've done, no agent would behave that way, you know, I don't think. I don't know any actual CIA agents, so
Yeah. I would say an agent would look like you.
I would have to be a good,
Yeah,
I'd have to be a good actor.
That's right.
Well, actually,
Trying
they
to
would,
represent yourself as an accountant, and and now all of a sudden you want to live out of the radar on the
Yeah.
Balkans in mystical
The,
Macedonia. You know, there is a.
it's crazy.
But let us to be suspicious a little bit. We
I
do
should
have
be
a
a-
lot of reasons to suspect. You know,
I should be a man of
this
mystery.
country is ran by Americans.
I'm not going to. Yeah, I would say somewhat. Not only here, but other Balkan areas. I would say there is some influence from outside sources, even going back to the 80s, 90s. It's been very educational for me. I remember way back when I was a lot younger, I would hear news on events going on here, and they were not necessarily true, in my opinion. What I've learned from being over here and physically seeing certain sites and learning from locals, that sometimes what you experience through media is not necessarily 100% true. It's what it is.
Let's don't start now the conspiracy theories. Those are very modern lately. Or talk about fake news. You're doing great on TikTok and all the social network, talking about not only places but your vision of how you actually. What you actually think about life in Macedonia, and very often you compare things, especially for young people. You look amazed how Macedonians or Serbians or Romanians, you look very surprised finding out that our young people, everybody knows English and everybody started to recognize you already. Can you go deeper, please, into that comparison with the young people in America? Can you say that they know only English, that they don't know, they learn Spanish as a second language, but most of all they don't speak Spanish? And
for when I was growing up, I graduated high school in 1983. It was very unheard of for people to study throughout school a second language, Spanish or whatever. And so it was always speak English, speak American. Over here, it's more or less a requirement. Even little kids are starting to learn English. They're learning it from TV shows, movies, where, if they go see a movie and it's an American or an English movie, it will be an American and English a lot of times, and then subtitles down below is not dubbed in their Macedonian or Serbian. It's in English. You're immersed in it. And it's amazing. Now, things are changing in the United States where they may, like my children, one that most recently graduated, he took German for 3 or 4 years. I don't know if he knows it now. Maybe he doesn't have anybody to practice it with, but at least that is changing to give more of a worldwide focus. So, but the children here, I know, like at Tito High School, they can either take one of two routes, being very proficient at mathematics, or by the time they graduate, they have to be very proficient in English language. So when they get out of high school, I have talked to these kids, and I'm like, you have a perfect American English accent. In Serbia, I noticed the same, where a friend of mine, her little 4-year-old is already speaking some English. I mean, it's like the education system here is focused on education, and yet also...
Do you think it's better overall than the American?
Overall, from what I have seen and the people I have spoken to, absolutely.
Don't worry, America will be great again.
Yeah, let's not go there. And I will say,
you don't want to go back, at least for your kids. Do you?
Right
how often
now,
do you go back?
I haven't been back in 9 months. And right now, as long as I can still walk and function, I want to stay in, we'll just say, the Balkan countries. I'm not going to pick or choose or rate number 1, 2, 3. I do know that I want to stay in areas. And yes, Macedonia is one of them.
Till the end of April, your temporary stay will of 3 months allowed to be in the country will end.
It does. I'm being kicked out. Now, I can only stay 90 days here. I came here February 1st, so I have to leave.
Within 6 months, you can stay 90 days, as long as I remember the law. Okay.
So if I stay here 90 days, I have to be out for 90, and then I can come back.
So what's your plan?
Or you can kind of juggle around.
Well, okay, what's your plan?
My plan from here, depending on, I really don't know, but I think I will go back to...
You see, now you look, you sound like an typical agent.
I know.
Undercover.
Well, I'm not sure where they're going to send me to. I think I will make my way back to Serbia, at least for a couple of months, to touch base with some friends I made there. I stayed 90 days in Serbia, the entire 90 days.
Did you feel free while being in Serbia? Did you feel free to talk like this freely in some show, podcast, or?
I would have been a little. Boy, I don't know what. No,
because of the situation over there. Yeah.
Because of the situation over there, and myself being an outsider, I keep certain things to myself with that regard, because I don't want to be considered, like you say, CIA or color revolution. I'm not, I don't, and even here I don't get into politics. If I was into politics, I would go back to the U.S. I would go back to the United States and talk politics there, of which I would probably lose a lot of friends there with my opinion, but
that's a broad subject. You will never end talking about that.
It's
if
never
we ever
ending.
Go back. Yeah.
I would rather focus my life right now on discovering new things, mystical things, and spiritual, like the book Mystical Macedonia says. I would rather discover hidden treasures and things for my own growth, my own spiritual growth, growth in cultural differences, and kind of putting the word out that on one hand, politics divide, but from the sense of culture and hospitality, we are deep down not that different. Those parts of Europe and the United States, there's a division made possibly by higher ups the people that have a lot, media, social media, things like that. But at the core of humanity, hopefully we're all the same.
Something
You know,
something is very wrong in the time we're living at the moment. Something's wrong. You're not my guest to define, to have a definition of what's the evil and what are the evil forces that are running the world at the moment. I'm interested more to hear the story, even though you keep saying only few select people in your life know the real reasons why you've decided to live or stay on the Balkans to the rest of your life. What it had to be a huge wound, personal, that made you come over here. I'm not saying that nobody is coming to live over here. I'm not saying that we're a shithole. I mean, the viewers can see that themselves, but to stay in Skopje, in Kumanovo, in Sveti Nikole, it had to be a big wound.
a big wound. Oh wow.
Emotional, definitely.
You are correct, and there have been people that I have stayed with that know all of the particulars, and I will leave it at, I was at a point in my life where I expected to grow old with somebody. We were together 10 years. I raised her little daughter from this big to, 14. And then one day, just unexpectedly, you're told that they don't want you to be a part of their life. Literally, one day you're planning a future. What are we going to do when we retire? And then the next day, it's all gone. What do you do to recover from something like that? In some cases,
You stop having expectations, I guess.
I don't know, I'm still on that path. And I'm sure at some point she will see it. She'll see what I am saying. Good. Have at it, but things change, and I have a new perspective on life and things like that. And what I'm discovering new things every day. I never had the opportunity to travel alone because I always had children, and I always had a wife or a significant other that we would do the typical tourist thing. So I have that going for me.
Even though me and you, we're at that age that we even remember Ronald Reagan bad jokes. You still have time to fall in love again. Why not in some Macedonian woman?
I'm being
even
careful.
though we're getting westernized, as you're saying.
Well, no, there's still a
feminists and
not necessarily.
Nobody guarantees that you're not gonna have a broken heart one more time, but at least you can try.
Yeah, this will be my. If I get into a fourth long-term relationship, I'll probably be the same type person. However, I will say Balkan women here, Macedonia, Serbia, there is a certain strength to them. You know what you're getting. At least in my opinion. I did on my TikTok/Instagram thing, I got trained by a Serbian woman to be a Balkan man and have the experience
Oh,
of
Lord.
You never saw that?
Oh, Lord.
It was we did a little series because I lived with her for 2 months. I called her my experimental Balkan wife. And she was giving me lessons on...
This is what you do, experiments on the Balkans. Yes,
Oh.
I knew it.
So it was partially her idea. Some people got offended by me saying I had an experimental Balkan wife if they heard
I'm
it.
not offended, I'm just joking.
But she showed me a lot of how strong Balkan women are. Yes, they can be opinionated. Yes, the men generally act like this. However, a lot of Balkan men go home and they listen to their woman. You may not agree, but you know it's such a there's a certain, you know what you're getting when you meet one. There's no fakeness. There's no, you know, my opinion is if I was to meet somebody from this area and we go out and we have a good time and then we go out again and have a good time, at some point, maybe 2 or 3 dates like this, maybe at that point you are sort of a couple, you know. It's strange. It's different. Overall, they're different than American women. They play less games. If they like you, you will know it. If they don't, you'll definitely know it. And, you know, and I had permission, you know, maybe it was a hard day. I would go to the kafana, you know, but then I would come back, you know, I mean, you know, it was a different life, you know.
It depends when you come back, probably.
I came back on a proper time where I knew she wouldn't worry about me. Of course, myself being from the United States, she wanted to keep me safe. No, it's not a girlfriend, it's not a, you know, but the pretend wife, there was actually a element of, you know, let me know that you made it safely here or there. You know, no, I don't expect you to call me every hour. But, you know, even when I left Serbia and came here, she wanted to make sure I was safe. And I think with, you know, everyone's loved one, no matter the country, there's
It's
a
love
certain,
and respect, yeah.
you know.
Maybe this conversation will be better if you had it with a man, not with the typical Balkan woman as I am.
Me be with a Balkan man?
No.
I don't go that way. However, you
Me
know,
neither, even though you Americans are freaks about the transgender thing that they're trying to push everywhere, even here in this country. But maybe this conversation would be better if you had it with a man instead of a woman, because I can be biased. I can be I'm very opinionated about that, and I'm totally anti-feminist. But
it's not a feminism issue. It's not. Yeah, I think in some ways it's more of a maybe a traditional role. I have talked to guys, let's say in the kafana, where it's men, young men, and invariably, even though they're these strong, tough guys, maybe I shouldn't tell you as a woman, but men have very deep conversations here. At least the ones I've met own relationships. And yes, they do get their heart broken here, just like in the U.S. And they will freely talk this way. But when they get home, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same conversation at home. They're actually very open, and they will speak their mind. I have seen.
it depends how many rakia they had before they talk to you. You know.
Well, after a few rakias, you talk about other things.
You mean
I don't know. It's strange.
It's just like from this water from Kumanovo spa.
Yeah.
When you see in the water, your vision is more clearly, and
I think I
after
can see better.
rakia, you talk more honestly about things.
And it's not, and I guess Balkan men are more open. You like, when you first meet them, there's a certain, you either know they like you or they don't like you, and it really doesn't matter. However, after a rakia or two, you find some common ground to become friends. I have been in conversations myself as an American with people my age that are local, and yes, they would look upon me as something I'm not because of past things that happened here, but that's among politics, not among people.
We've learned from the best, from you, how to be racist. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's maybe there's a little bit of that here. But
in every country in the world there is one Governor Wallace.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. Governor Wallace. I met him when I was this little. I shook his hand.
No way.
But after he got shot, now whether or not he actually changed.
Why would you shoot? Why would you shoot?
I was a child, and we went to the Alabama Capitol.
Oh, okay.
And we got to meet the governor. So, however.
So America is mystical for us too. You see. Yeah.
There were mystical places there, maybe. Not as many as there are here in Macedonia, because they don't have the thousands of years of history behind them. They do with the Indians and the prior population before the white man came, but that was only 400 or 500 years ago. Here, I walked across a bridge in Skopje that's 600 years old. I've been to churches and cathedrals, places that are 1,000, 1,100 years old, made of stone and marble with paintings. There is no history like that with the United States. There has never been an outside force that invaded the current United States of America. Here, throughout the Balkans, 1,000 years, 1,500 years of people coming here and taking over, being occupied. That's history. That's what forges the spirit over generations and generations of people here, on up to the 1980s, 90s.
Do you think the history is written by winners?
Of course it's written by winners. Anybody would agree, there is that quote. Anybody has heard it. Just like to the victor goes the spoils.
What about the history is repeating?
Well, it is repeated in the past, so who is to say that it wouldn't repeat again? Yeah. You can see some similarities on history repeating itself from, 60, 80 years ago.
You're talking for the Balkans or for the world?
For the world.
For the world.
Yeah. Yeah. You are in the midst of history. Do you feel
safe here? Is it one of the reasons you're here?
Safety is not the reason I am here, but safety is something that I have become extremely aware about. The safety of the Balkans in general. I don't have a gun on me. I don't have a knife. I can walk home. I have not felt unsafe walking home from cafe at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning in an unknown area. However, I'm very aware of my surroundings. I'm not going to put myself in a dangerous situation, but it took me a while to get used to it. Being over here, if I hear a strange noise at night, what is that? But now it's like, it's probably a stray dog. It could be some guy taking a pee behind a bush. It's not somebody that's going to jump out and stab me. Literally, those are the fears. Let's say if you're traveling or local in the United States. Not hating on the United States, it is a fact that if you were to look at, it's just certain factors. And, you know...
What do you think at the moment is the best state in the United States to be? Where would you like your kids to? Well, I mean, they're grown-ups now, but where would you like them to be in the pursuit for happiness? Because at the end of the day, we all do, the purpose of living is the pursuit of happiness, which is God, love, respect, low prices of oil.
I have no idea. I really, really cannot answer that question. Because I'm not there. I haven't been there for, like I say, 9+ months.
Aren't they looking for advice from you, your kids?
They do, but I have no advice to give them except to
Would you convince them to come and one day over here? And
of course, at least for a visit.
you think they might like it?
I would think so.
And then we're going to be the first country in the world having so many.
Yeah.
And immigration works.
Yeah. But the best state to be in the United States is probably a state of drunkenness.
Oh, very clever. Very clever.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had to think of that. State of fucking drunkenness.
I like that.
I'm doing it
at
over
the
here.
moment, yeah.
But even like drinking over here, I've never felt bad after a heavy night of drinking. There must be something in the American beer that just makes you feel like shit.
I don't like American beers.
No, it makes you feel like you're a freaking fat.
Our rakia over here and our beer over here is irreplaceable.
Man, let me tell you.
Yes.
But did somebody drop money?
Don't act like a typical American. You see dollars, Benjamins everywhere.
He's making me
We
stare
are
at it.
poor over here. Nobody would drop money.
It looked like money.
It looked like something.
Ariston.
Tell me about that Ariston production. Tell me, please, just give us some exclusive material over here. Tell us a little bit. Reveal the little project that you are going to be with Nikola Ristevski and the collaboration with the.
Well, should I mention his name? Nikola.
Why not?
Ristevski
from Sveti Nikolae.
Sveti Nikola.
Can you explain to you what is Sveti Nikolae means?
Something to do with sheep.
Something to do with sheep.
Shepherd or
Sveti
sheep?
Nicola, literally.
Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas, yeah, you know.
Oh, I thought you meant what's the
Ovčepolije.
Yeah, I'll never be able to say that.
Ovčepolije. Yes.
Oh.
We'll train you. Me and Nicola will train you. Anyways.
So I'm at
Ariston Production. Your video in Sveti Nikolae was amazing.
Yeah, I'm at Nikola Ristevski, and then he has a company, Ariston Production, and they do videos that are like along the lines of what I like to see, spiritual things, hidden gems, hidden treasures, archaeological things, a deep dive into history. If people have seen my content from various places, I really get into, the monasteries, the treasures, and things that most tourists don't know about because they're always busy looking at the beautiful statues or the huge things that are on the tourist trail.
Other areas, yeah.
You know, but when you get off the path, like this hot waters here, I'm going to discover some of these
And recommend
along-
it to other people.
Yeah, and hopefully get something going with Balkan tours, because that's along the lines of what they want to do is give somebody an experience off the tourist trail. Yes, see some tourist sites, but things that are different, unique, something you can remember forever. Whether it's the cuisine, there's so many discoveries here. Just the other day, I discovered pastramalia. Pastramalia.
Pastramalia, bravo,
and,
bravo.
And then I found out it was from a stip. And this is one version, but every city has a different version.
Yes.
So now I have to try.
Yes. And you never know where it's originally from.
But yeah, but somebody was like, go to Velish, go to here and try
Kratovo.
theirs. Yeah, Kratovo. It's like I have to go to 5 places just to try this traditional Macedonian dish.
Did you like it? Yeah.
I did. And like the thing that Ariston does is like here, 20 kilometers, I forgot the name of it, but it's one of the oldest astrological formations.
Observatory,
Observatory, Kokino. And this dates back, I mean, it's like in the top 5 of oldest in the entire world. People know about Stonehenge because it's Stonehenge, but this is like, it's a treasure.
It is a treasure. Macedonia is really mystical, but let's wrap it up. Let me be the last question. I need more time to think about it. How to ask you on a polite way,
Oh, goodness.
or being politically correct. But no, I'm
shit.
not gonna do that. I'm gonna straightforward. Why in the time? In the difficult times that we all live in when we struggle to pay the bills, when the price of oil, of what's going on in the world of these pedophiles are doing to us, when the price of oil is so big and everything else is the prices are rising, why would you think these videos like this would be showing mystical Macedonia to the rest of the world? Would somebody care to watch it?
Well, one, I
What
guess.
is the interest of or especially of young people to see some places like this when we really have when we're sick, we don't have money to not even go to the hospital, when everything is just so there's no hope.
I think in some ways, especially with the younger people I've talked to, maybe it gives them a release from seeing day-to-day issues, but more so, hopefully, the locals, whether it's here in Macedonia or throughout the Balkans, maybe Ariston Production, the tour company, can at least showcase the beauties within their country, give them a sense of pride, that maybe at some point they will stay and formulate ways to make more money here. But they have to see that the country that they live in is nothing to be ashamed of. Have pride. Have a high self-esteem. Your country is no joke. It's freaking amazing.
Even though you don't even have 500 euros salary, your country is a pride. That's not an argument, actually, but okay, I'll take it.
But find a way to make change. Change in every single country has always been made by the youth, by the visionaries. It started, you look at some countries where government change was made. It wasn't by a bunch of old people going out. It wasn't people my age going out and advocating for change. It's the youth and the people that are the ones suffering currently. You may not make as much money as you want to or have a certain comfort level, but for younger people, they are living the reality. It's not only here, but my own children, the 4 children I have in the United States, they struggle on these same type issues. How am I going to get a house? How am I going to have free time? What am I going to do for childcare? What am I going to do for health care? When am I going to be able to move out on my own instead of having to live with 2 other people to afford a place?
When we're gonna stop voting, probably.
You have to have the responsibility to vote. If you are bitching about things, sorry for the bad word, if you are complaining about things and you are not voting and you are not advocating for change, you have no right to complain or to open your mouth about stuff.
Oh, I opened the favorite subject of Americans, freedom.
American freedom is different than the freedom here.
Freedom is freedom. How do you mean it's different?
Recently, I haven't seen where freedom of speech is actually a protected thing in America. I haven't seen where freedom to practice your own religion and separation of church and state remains a thing. Things that are enshrined in their constitution. You cannot advocate strictly for one religion over another. That's the United States.
Is that about the...
Yes, I know you have certain influences that you may not like, but the polarization has got to stop at some point. And I know there are issues here regarding certain things, but I have discovered strange freedoms here. You know, there are freedoms here that are different than the United States. I'm not going to get into it, but they're very endearing to my heart. You know, I can go to the park, and if I want to, it makes me sound like an alcoholic. If I want to, I can have a beer and enjoy sitting at the park. I can, yes, they do have freedom to do marches here. And I have seen in, let's say, another country, big marches with police. And yes, bad things happen, but not as bad a thing that I have seen on the news happen at protests. Masked people doing things.
And parallel protesting at the same time. Well,
yeah. I would have felt safer at a protest in a neighboring country than I would at a protest in the United States. And yet the freedom of speech, the freedom to protest is enshrined in the United States Constitution. And myself, being in a neighboring country during their protest, even though bad things do happen sometimes, I felt safer.
Don't worry, Brett.
It's crazy.
We learn from the best, from you.
But is that not crazy? I mean, I'm like, literally.
It is crazy. That's what we're gonna learn that trick, and you're not gonna feel safe probably anymore.
I may not.
We've learned from the best.
I'm too old. I'm too old to.
It's not about it's probably not about freedom of speech, but it's about freedom after the speech.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, literally, like at the. I don't know if this is owned or not. Don't put it in there. Yeah. But literally, at these protests, like in Serbia, you could tell who were the bad people versus
infiltrated over there also.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into. I know things. I'm keeping it at that. But you could tell in the United States, everybody had masks. How do you know if these are actual police officers? How do you know? I don't know if you've seen media of different things in the United States.
Oh, yes.
You know,
I've seen.
If I was to be pulled over by a policeman with a mask on, Who the fuck are you? How do I know you're a cop? You think in my youth, if I
Like in the movies, he's gonna show you an ID. How do
he
you
ain't
mean?
gonna show me shit. Why do people put up with this? In my youth, I wouldn't have. I'm being pulled over by somebody that it's not a police car. Yeah, they have pretty lights, but it's not a typical police car. And they're getting out of their car wearing jeans and boots and a mask over their face. No.
You don't believe to authorities? How dare you do that?
I do if they come out.
Do you believe in God? But you're not you're not practicing religion. You don't go to.
What is this?
Yeah, you don't go to Brojanica.
Yeah.
Brojanica.
No, I believe in God.
Yeah, but you're not going to church every Sunday,
How
right?
do you know?
I'm asking you.
I do.
Do you go every Sunday?
Not to a service a lot of times. I will go to the Orthodox Church doors are always open. I've been several times a week. I do my own thing. I don't pray among other people. It's a one-on-one.
You because you
I will
don't
not go to a church. I do. I will not go into the church and follow along with the.
I understand.
As other people, for me, it's a one-on-one thing, and I've been in some. Yeah.
It's intimating. Yes. This is I'm asking you just because I wanted to give you this as a gift. This is Saint Svetý Jovan Šangajski, Saint John of Shanghai, who started to preach in Shanghai first, but he is also known as Orthodox Christian religion, but he is also known as Saint John of San Francisco because he ended up to spread the religion Orthodox Christian in San Francisco, and he was very famous, and he's a saint because. He's very famous. He was very famous of opening orphanages for abandoned kids, and he saved many of them, especially those that were, how do you call when a woman is raped and then a baby, nobody wants the baby, and
a bastard child, a child.
Yes.
A child born out of violence, an unwanted child.
And he saved them, and he made these houses for them. And I want you to have this. And there is a prayer on the back.
I'll have it translated.
Yes, I'll help you. I'll help you do it. And he's a protector of the kids, of the families, and I want you to have that as a
Thank you very much.
good memory because I didn't buy you anything, but I'll think about it. What would you have from here? Sujuk, definitely. It's a type of sausage. Some homemade rakia, and I'll think about it.
I've had enough of that, and I travel very light, but I will keep this. There are several.
To be as a personal protector.
There's several keepsakes that I have been given. This now, and then this brojanica. I had a company specially make this for me, but it was not for a promotion thing. It wasn't for anything else, but because he knew by something I was wearing, he knows that I went through a certain amount of heartache, and he said, let me make you this. And then when I was in Bulgaria, a grandmother trusted me enough to watch her two granddaughters while she went out in the field. Her and her husband worked the farm, because I stayed in a village for 3 weeks there. And then one of the granddaughters made me a sticker. She gave it to me. She said, Mr. Brett, I made this for you. She came back the next day. She said, I made this for you. I want you to keep it. And so, yeah. This is probably the sweetest thing.
I'm so glad you came in Kumanovo. Please
Yeah,
don't cry.
yeah.
Please.
I
You
know, I
made me
know.
cry.
I'm a very,
Come on.
It's not the first time. Although I will say, I also on the flip side have
Let's
a very extreme temper. You know.
let's
Somebody,
let's say
yeah.
let's say hello to your Bulgarian friends and everybody, all your friends throughout the Balkans. This is the best way to do it.
Balkans. Boy, I cannot.
Stay here.
I
And
will say,
we'll find you. We're not gonna find you, woman. If you wanna live long, we're not gonna find you, woman. Just be single, travel, explore, share your experience.
I do get offers
with people.
I do want to say hello to the people of Gradishte, Bulgaria, 5910. You know which ones? In your small village, that's where my healing journey truly began, and you showed me true kinship, friendship, just amazing. So I will be back there, Dinez, hopefully to see you dance the traditional folk festival there, and all my friends, love you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Yeah, and I had to leave.
I was gonna say we're done. Well, I was gonna say even Bulgarians can be such a lot.
Well, a certain